So good morning, everybody. I hope everyone's having had a great weekend. We're going to do a little look at the banking industry today, and we're going to basically see some historical points of about the banking industry. All right, so basically the Bank of some history here. The Bank of North America was chartered in 1782, right? I believe Alexander Hamilton was somehow involved in all of this, and excuse my emails coming in. And there was a lot of controversy about bank charters in the early part of American history. So basically, back in about 75 years later or so, the National Bank Act of 1863 creates the officer of the controller of the currency and the dual banking system. And the Federal Reserve System is created in 1913 because of the chaos with the banks, how there was really no overseer of the banks, and how the money's run. There's been a lot of controversy on whether the Federal Reserve System really serves any purpose, and you could hear Trump every once in a while crying and screaming about the Federal Reserve System. So that's early part of the history. So here's the timeline, right? Here's the Bank of North America. Here's the National Bank Act. Andrew Jackson got a little upset, right, and about the rechartering the Second Bank of the United States. So it elapsed eventually. The bank charter elapsed, and then there was a second bank is chartered, and then he got upset. Here's the Federal Reserve Act, right, being created. And here's Glass-Steagall, which after the Depression obviously helped separate investment and commercial banks. There was a problem with somewhat type of corruption, and they created the FDIC. So you can see how they separated banking and security industries. But eventually, it was recently, I think about 2000, they were allowed to. It was repealed. Glass-Steagall. All right, so the Federal Reserve and and state banking is pretty much the authorities and that oversee banks, and bank holding companies are regulated by the Fed. So these are the regulatory agencies. All right. So basically, there's this whole thing about the new type of financial engineering that's coming around, and a lot of this is online and is being done to satisfy new requirements. So there's a lot of things going on with regards to the banking system. All right, so basically back adjustable rate mortgages became a popular thing because of interest rate volatility, and many of you may have interest rate adjustable mortgages. One thing I note is that when interest rates drop, the interest rates on adjustable rates take a little longer to go down, and when they go up, they're up pretty quickly. So it's asymmetrical with regards to changes in interest rates. So basically, first-time homeowners like them because they may not have the money and they use that. And of course, financial derivatives became a popular thing. And we'll talk more about financial derivatives, options and futures, and basically swaps and forward contracts. And a lot of people blame this on what happened in 2008 with innovative mortgage financial derivatives. All right. So then, of course, over the last 50 or 60 years, credit cards and debit cards became big, and electronic banking. Obviously, we all do that now. And commercial paper is when one company loans to another company, right? They give them an overnight like loan or a short-term loan. And junk bonds are just what I think I may have referred to already. Low, very close to credit default. Many companies are in dire straits, and they'll issue high coupon rate bonds, and they're called junk bonds. All right, so here's where I was talking just now about the mortgages, and basically they securitized subprime mortgages in the '08, and they turned them into sellable items, and they were illiquid and made them quite liquid, or the people thought they did, and they rated them lying in a lying way, AAA, and they weren't. But the securitization was the big thing in the 2000s. So the money market mutual funds almost took a hit in '08 because of all the shenanigans that went on, and mutual funds are not as regulated as, but they're still generally safe. I mean, I think that's a little nervous, nearly there. All right, so there's a lot of discussion going on about regulations and the like. So all right, so basically you can go through this. There's some statistics with regards to how much commercial banks have what share they have of the markets. So here's the current bank share of non-financial borrowing. All right, so other than that, there's a little history here on banks. As you know, I don't even have paper checks anymore. I do everything online. My banking is strictly online banking. I got a ton of passwords. I replaced checks with passwords, right? And I log into everything online, so a little easier for me, I guess. So basically, because the banks were losing business, they moved into a lot of different things, and some were considered riskier, and it spread throughout the world too, right? Other industrialized countries, banking has changed a lot. It's very competitive now. All right, so there's a bunch of acts that came in, and there's a lot of different, ATMs, and because of branch restrictions that went on. All right, so I'll pick up on the rest of this on part two. Alrighty, have a good one.